Welcome into Trucker Talk Radio. Today is April 2nd, 2025. You're on with J&J. I'm John. This is Justin. We just got back from the truck show. Justin, initial thoughts?
It was a lot bigger than what I imagined. A lot of people were there. I was very pleased with the turnout, and I think we did pretty well. A lot of stuff there, though. It's a true more than one day event, I would think, if you really wanted to see everything and talk. But I think it's great for the industry. I've never been to another one, so I'm curious to see what a smaller one is since that's the largest one. But I was very impressed though.
Yeah, it was really good to see. There's a lot of people, a lot of other podcasts, trucking related. I like to think that ours is the best, but there were some there was some there was a lot of truckers there, a lot of families, a lot of people that weren't involved in trucking trying to pick up our little gadgets that we had. There were people walking around with 3 and 4 bags of stuff.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. They just grab it. It don't matter what it is. They don't look at even what you're offering. They just see something that doesn't cost them and they grab it. And I know I will put. I guess I'll put a plug out there because I know I'm going to talk about it at some point anyway. Geico had a great idea. They gave everybody a bag and everybody walked around with it all the weekend, and they were completely overstuffed. It was just amazing at all the stuff that people was finding at different locations, and probably didn't say 5 words to any of the people they grabbed stuff from.
Right, but you saw Geico's name all around, and that it was great advertising, smart marketing.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed. I mean, now during the weekend, my cats lost. Your Florida Gators, we got to talk about that. All the number one seeds made it. I think it's been like, I
It's been.
mean, I think it was like the 80s.
Yeah, they've only happened like once or twice. It
Yeah, all 4 number 1, and your Florida Gators are in there.
yeah, by the skin of our teeth. We didn't seem like we played good until the last 5 minutes of the game and do just enough to get to the next round. But it doesn't matter how you play as long as you get the W and move on, I guess.
Survive and advance, right? That's what they say. Survive and advance. So yeah, congratulations to you. I got to see the game in Lexington. I left the show for a little bit and went to Lexington to hang out with some buddies and some UK fans. So it was good to be there in Lexington. Uh, got to go to Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse. Have you ever been to one of those?
Now, I actually heard somebody else talking about that. The big thing
Yeah,
was,
they have one in Louisville. They have one in Louisville, but the atmosphere was awesome. It was electric. They've got this bar, this big like U-shaped bar. In the center, there's this big like platform where they've got a jazz band. So they got a full service or a full kit jazz band, I guess that's what you call it.
yeah.
Um, and it was loud, it was electric, it was a lot of fun. So did that, and then got to see some family because that's my neck of the woods. But um, I was impressed. We got to talk about Trucker Talk Radio a little bit. We got to talk about Ready App, some of the advantages of Ready App. Um, so it was really good. We got to meet a lot of people, and I think next year we should try and definitely do the show at the booth.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should also set up, times to do interviews and have people in, guests, some of our listeners, a couple people from the industry. Because I've seen a couple TikTokers doing that. Uh, so I think that would be good. Yeah, I think it's a place for it. I mean, I think another year we'll get our name out there. We'll be a little bit more recognizable for that. I think Ready Apple will definitely get us, known a little bit in the industry as well to have people. But yeah, it was great. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys there that were retired truck drivers that came just to see trucks or the new innovations or to see people. So it was really good. I really liked it. It was so packed. I always thought maybe Friday morning or Friday morning would be maybe a little slow and Saturday, but it really wasn't. It was pretty. As soon as the doors opened to the public, it was standing room only throughout. And but we had great conversations with a lot of guys. I think a lot of people, thought a lot about our app and what we're trying to do to help the industry. We had a lot of people, praise us for it and say it's what's needed. So, of course, that's good to hear. I got to hear a lot of good trucker stories. We'll talk about them probably in another show. But I had one guy that had been with the same company for 20 years, and
Mhm.
was
It's
remarkable.
unheard of nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. He'd been with 3 companies his entire life. And I mean, most guys do that in a year. So that was refreshing. Had a great time, outside of the show. We stayed at a very nice hotel. I was surprised, I stayed at the show while you went to Lexington and went down to the bar and ate dinner and was watching the game. And they said, well, there won't be nobody in here because of the game. Like everybody goes to a sports bar. And I'm like, well, okay, but I'm happy sitting in the front of a bar, and I don't have a dog in the fight for it. And as soon as that game was over, it was like 30 minutes. It just switched, and the place was packed. So it was a great atmosphere. The hotel was really nice. But looking forward to next year, to be honest, because I think we'll have a bigger presence, and looking forward to maybe walking around and interviewing people, and maybe get a setup like that one place had, where we can just sit down and have multiple shows throughout the day and just get to talk. I think that networking was a big thing and enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that's really what it's built for. I mean, I think, obviously I think drivers enjoy it. Drivers get something to, a place to go where they feel relevant and appreciated. They get to see the new trucks out there. Um, I mean, I had a great time. I think that it was good for us in terms of networking, talking with other vendors, getting Trucker Talk Radio's name out there. We got to talk about the stuff that we talk about on the show, which I think is really different than most of the other trucking related podcasts that are out there. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, what we're setting out to do is relate with the driver. And it's not just about trucking, it's about family life, it's about sports, it's about politics,
Yeah.
it's about, everything that a trucker deals with, hears about, wants to talk about every day. It's not just about market conditions
Right.
um, and trucking related news headlines. It's really, getting down to earth with the driver and really, developing that one-on-one relationship. I think it shows that we need to have these interviews. We keep talking about it, and I mean, we're only on our 12th show, but we've got some good listeners. I think we're up to about 250 listeners, so which is nice and steady growth. Of course, when you see some of these bigger podcasts out there, they've been around for a long time. So, but I think we're on the right path from all the numbers that I see. So, yeah.
Well, it's like what you said too, relating to the driver. I mean, you can beat the market you can beat it to death. I mean, there's only so much you can talk about. A lot of times, it's only a little bit you talk about positive. So, I think between what we talk about being a little bit more than just trucking to be relatable. We give what advice that we feel is good advice about what to do as a truck driver or owner op. We talk about the market, so we get that part in. But truckers are going down the road. They do not want to hear about the trucking market the whole 10, 12 hour day. They want to hear about other stuff going on, get perspective about different things. And so I think that's probably one reason why we are a little bit more maybe relatable, because they don't come to us just for trucking news. We can kind of get it all in an hour or so episode of everything going on. And so I do like it that I don't want to be just all business. But, we talk business all day as it is. So, to come on here, it's, even refreshing, I'd say, for me and you to get to, catch up, shoot the bull per se, and
Yeah.
that. So, hopefully everybody will continue to like us and keep moving forward. But I mean, if we had that kind of growth and haven't done a show in almost a week, that says a lot. And I know there's several listeners that are already loyal. I mean, I get text messages quite often from them saying they appreciate it. When's the next show? So that makes us feel good. I know for sure. And I think even after another year when we go to the show, I think we'll catch a lot of people's attention next year when we really put it out there and do some shows, because everybody we talked to that took the time to stop to see what we were about, we all had great conversations, and we didn't even then talk about the market the whole full time.
Hmm.
What could we do better? This is what we hope the future is. Maybe it was something that was announced at the show. Then we all talked about sports. I think almost every booth around us, we all got talking sports because
Well, yeah, March Madness was going on, and yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think this year was good to just kind of to get a feel for what other podcasts do at the show, and how we can best relate with drivers and differentiate ourselves from the others, and just, set it up to where we have regular conversations with drivers and just, get their opinions on what's going on, what it takes to be a successful driver, how do they feel about what's going on in the economy? What do they think about these tariffs? Do they even care?
I,
I just see Elon Musk is leaving Doge soon. So I think he's probably going to take care of his Tesla dealerships that are currently on fire.
yeah, he's catching a raw deal for what he's sacrificing to do. I don't quite understand why people want to go that route to show their displeasure, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, and I don't get it. He doesn't really get anything out of it. There's some conspiracy theorists think that he wants to control the government with AI. I don't see that. I just, there's a lot of wasteful spending, and it's got to. Trump said he was going to do this. I don't understand the outrage.
either. I agree. I don't. I mean, he preached it. Everybody that was on his side supported it, and but it needs to be done. I mean, Democrat, Republican, it don't matter. There's always been wasteful spending, and I mean, I don't see how any tax-paying American can be mad about it. I just don't. I don't get that, because it's only benefiting us as the taxpayer. It, getting anything out of it.
Well, what they're worried about is, it's kind of like he said, the only people that are outraged are usually the ones who are crooks.
Hmm.
It's the ones who are getting the money. And they're paying these protesters to be out there. That's already been proven.
Yeah,
So they're outraged because it's hitting their wallet. They found a way through the government. That's why they're lifetime politicians.
that's right.
Can you honestly say, if you were now 250 grand is a good living, but if you are in the public eye and you are in Congress and you are well known and you have an opportunity and you're making 250 grand in Washington D.C., that's not a ton of money. It's
Nope.
not a ton of money. So, especially for those people. So, if there was an opportunity outside the government to make more money, don't you think they'd do it?
Yep.
So they're making 250 grand, yet they're worth 250 million.
Right.
I just
It don't add up, man. And I mean, because if people would use common sense, and you can look at local government and how local governments are ran, and the money that how a mayor or a county commissioner or something in your local area, why they do it. I mean, it's just like I know for a fact, one of the towns I grew up in, the mayor didn't get paid nothing because we couldn't afford it. Ran kind of smooth, no major, issues. Things got done as best they could. Well, I don't know. I guess I was in my 20s. They started paying the mayor like $1,500 a month or something. Everything changed when they started paying the people. and it just like it has just gotten more political. It wasn't no politics basically involved when everything was free, because nobody
Mhm.
do it unless you cared about the town per se. And, and as soon as a little bit of money is involved, it's totally different. So imagine a $1,500 job to a a $20,000 a month paycheck. I mean, it's too tempting. I've always said this: you can be the best person in the world starting out as a politician. It's going to be tough to stay clean if you're a career politician, because it's just too
Well,
many.
there are too many deals made. I mean, I know somebody in the state legislature in Florida, and they're a state senator, and they went in with good intentions. He went in like saying, "I'm going to clean this up," and then the minute he got in, he's in a gathering, and then everybody's breaking off into separate rooms, and they're negotiating deals, and he's like, "What is going on here?" And they're like, they're getting their what they have on their agenda accomplished and done. They're negotiating. They're saying, if I vote for this, will you vote for that? If I get this amount of money, will you take this? And
Yep,
it's it's corrupt. It
yep.
is corrupt.
And there's no policing it. That's what Doge, in my opinion, is. It's a police. I mean, and I see no wrong with it. And I don't care if
Well, I'll tell you where there is police though that I don't quite get, and I'm not well versed in on this side of the government to completely understand, but you have these little itty bitty judges in these small districts who are overturning the Trump agenda. I don't I don't know how these judges can have so much control. And they said this morning they were having like a hearing about it, and I think it was Senator Cruz and Senator Klobuchar on the Democratic side, Senator Ted Cruz on the Republican side. They were going back and forth, and she was like, if it's the law, these people are making lawful decisions. And he's like, okay, if that's true and they're making lawful decisions, then why are you sending this to all these itty bitty district judges who were appointed by Democrats? He said, prove me wrong. Go and send one of those things to go and send one of these Trump agendas that just got turned down. Go and send it to a Republican judge in a small district and see what the result is. And it will be. And he's like, I'm not saying that that's necessarily right, but the fact of the matter is these small district judges shouldn't be able to basically shut the president down.
exactly. Because I mean, you look at like the Supreme Court. Yes, there's Democrats and Republicans on there, but it's more than one judge. So
Well, yeah, and all this is all about delaying because eventually it's going to get to the Supreme Court. So it's going to go through the ranks, go up the to the higher courts, and then eventually get to the Supreme Court, and then it will get overturned. And all this was just to delay until we get to a year and a half from now, where the Democrats are hoping that they'll have control again,
yep,
and then they're going to go and impeach.
yep. I agree with you 100%. That's just it's just a straight tactic that those kind of things have been going on forever, and stuff should be done a little bit simpler. I mean, I appreciate the country that we live in. The way that we are free, and I've traveled the world, so I've seen some true third world countries and how people are treated and different things. But we are our own worst enemy in a lot of things as an American and just as a human being in general. But the way that they make things so complicated, just like back to what you said about working deals, you shouldn't have to work 3 or 4 deals just to get your deal done. I mean, yeah, you might have to scratch somebody's back every once in a blue moon, but like just like when they try to pass something, there's so many earmarks in it that it's not even what you was really trying to get accomplished. It's everybody that gets thrown in there that no one knows about unless you're up there in Washington, doing the wheeling dealing. And it should be a little bit more cut dry, because for the most part, most of the stuff that these guys try to pass in their agendas affect their area in a positive way. And but it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can't have that unless I get this, and that's I don't think that's how the forefathers really thought, or to just
No.
and all that would really be. Yeah, you might go, well, yeah, well, if you're getting $100,000 for this project, I've got this project over here. Okay, yeah, you try to work something out where both of you get the money, but can't everybody have everything? Not at the It's just you can print all the money you want, and it still ain't gonna get everybody what they need. So, but I don't know what you do. I mean, it's kind of like the welfare system.
Well, what we're doing right here is we are, we have a president who's trying to fix the corruption, and these people that have these I don't even know what you call it, where they have these agendas in place, they have these things going on behind the scenes, they have these bills that they want you to support that pay millions, if not billions of dollars, and then you can't go and track it. And some of the money never gets delivered. And a lot of it's like we said, like having it's supporting Sesame Street in Iraq. And, you know, that's that's what we have a president in place who's trying to set up a department to correct this. And then we have these judges trying to block it. So it's is it ever going to get fixed? And even if it does get fixed now,
Will it stay fixed?
the next time we have a Democrat president in office, it's just going to get all wiped clean. And it's just like, I mean, Donald Trump did it too. I mean, so he goes and on day one and wipes what Biden did clean. And for me, I like that. I mean, it worked for me, but for Democrats, they're like, oh, I mean, it's a 4-year cycle, and so but it's what the difference is that I see is these libtards, because they are libtards, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend, but you are. Look at how you're behaving, and then compare it with when Biden was going nuts to the Republicans. The Republicans and conservatives were saying this is crazy, and look at how they reacted. They didn't stand out in the street. They didn't protest. They didn't set Tesla dealerships on fire. And you can say, well, Trump was or Elon Musk was in Trump's pocket. That's why they didn't set Tesla dealerships on fire. Well, bullshit. The liberals were demanding that we all have an electric vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
They were supporting Tesla.
Yep.
We didn't burn them down to the ground. We didn't act nuts. We didn't, dance naked in the streets.
No, it's crazy. And what doesn't make any sense to me either is, so if you're per se a Democrat, you're a judge or you're a senator or representative or whatever, how can you truthfully look at yourself in the mirror and then look at your constituents? And this is why I think the Democrat Party is they're just I don't know. I think the true Democrat is going to have to start its own party and get away from the so far left, because
We
how
got to get towards the middle. I really think that I don't think that Trump is far right by any means. I think there are the extreme on the far right that are wanting things that are unreasonable. And there are definitely things on the left. We've got to get more centered.
because how can you look in 2 years and think you can keep your job as a Democrat, and you get to talk to your normal Democrat people and go, well, why didn't you vote for and support Doge? It's putting money back in my pocket. I mean, I don't even know what you tell the people in the middle. I mean, you got to pray, I guess, that the far left will be supreme. And I think that's where Democrats really are not understanding. the more middle these regular Democrats go, they're going to vote Democrat. I mean, a Republican because they don't have a choice because their party has changed so much over the last 8 to 12 years that
They don't even know what they stand for now. They don't have any idea. And the Democrats that are smart, what's his name, who always wears a hoodie from Pennsylvania,
oh yeah, I know you don't, he never dresses up.
never dresses up, but he actually has some sense, and and he's like, we as them as Democrats, they need to come together and say, this is not how we move past where we were. This is not how we move past Biden and get reelected. I mean, the stuff that they're doing, I just I don't get it. Huh?
Yeah, I agree. Just what they're doing is compounding the whole issue, like with Biden. Like nothing's really changed. And yeah, they had a great run with Clinton. They had a good run with Obama. They got things done that they wanted. But it seems like that Clinton. I didn't ever have a problem with Clinton. Clinton was good for business. My business thrived during Clinton days. He was a little lax maybe on the military and stuff, which is not unusual. But he, in my opinion, didn't affect the American. The Americans, other than his little scandals that got thrown on TV, a lot of stuff didn't per se get affected. Your dollar didn't change, your groceries didn't change, your businesses didn't have all these issues. You just normal life. You didn't even know he existed per se if you was a regular American. And ever since, and I'll blame Bush a little bit, ever since the Bush, when I voted for Bush, he was one of the first presidents I voted for. I knew we was going to Iraq. I just knew it. I knew we were going back, and I accepted it because he was going to revenge his father, and he had issues from all that and over there in the Middle East and everything. I understood it, and that started it, and like everything in politics kind of changed. I mean, Obama, he was unknown. What, a year and a half before the election?
Yeah, you're right.
Like, they like pulled him out of a hat, and he was a great speaker, and
Hmm.
he was able to bring people together. And boom, he was on the scene and just kind of like Trump, just exploded. I think some of it because he was, black and everything. Because yeah, he was able to bring the Democrats together. I didn't really agree with much of anything he did, and he basically his politics put my lumber business out of business. Which I mean, I'd 20 something years. I'd run its course. I was happy, moved on to logistics, and have done just fine. But it's like ever since that transition, it's like politics has gotten so personal and just so
It really is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, my sister-in-law, she's one of those libtards, and it's just part of her generation. I think she's about 10 years younger than me and my wife, and she doesn't believe in religion. She is a victim of everything. If you try and have a conversation with her, you're attacking her, and it's unfortunate. And she puts these posts out there that is because she puts these posts out there that are attacking everyone that thinks differently than her.
right.
And
Yep.
it's okay for her to do it, but not, rules for thee, not for me.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say two things about the new world we live in, social media wise. Um, there's two issues that I think have really been bad for the world, not only just America, but the world. One is you have no privacy anymore. If you're somewhat famous, you can't do anything. It's all called. Somebody's got a camera, and you need to be the right kind of person, do things the right way. But people make mistakes, and it gets blown up. So you've lost your privacy if you're any type of known person. The other politics. Politics the big problem with social media is everybody's big and bad on the other side of the camera. You can talk as mean and just as ugly as you want about stuff. That wasn't bad. 20 years ago. I mean, you could disagree about politics, talking it over coffee in the morning or whatever.
Well, that's because the news cycle wasn't 24/7. Right? You had the evening news, you had your three big ones, and then CNN came out. And you didn't have a 24 news cycle and people feed into it like it's a soap opera. I mean, it's drama, and everything is just blown way out of proportion, and then it ruins families, it ruins I mean, and my dad he's on the conservative side, and he's extremely critical, and he's extremely judgmental. He's not on social media so much, but now he will have a conversation, and he doesn't get hot. He
Right.
know and he in his mind, he knows he's right, so he doesn't get rattled or anything like that. And he loves the debate. So, and I feel like some of his positions are a little bit extreme, but you can have a conversation with him,
No problem.
and he enjoys the argument.
Hmm.
But it's not a fight. It's not a struggle. It's not, doesn't get loud.
Right.
And usually it's always the other person who gets loud. And but with my sister-in-law, and even my aunt who's also, on the liberal side, my aunt and uncle, and you can't talk to them. And they love to insult, and they love to come at you with their point of view. But the minute you go at it with them, they get upset. They feel attacked. There's no conversation.
Well, and I think people forget, like you made a good point about the news being 24/7. The news is a business, just like everything else. Nothing is pretty much not a business anymore. And I think that's one reason why news has went so liberal. There's no money in talking about good kumbaya stuff. There ain't no money in that.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, drama sells. I mean, you look at television shows, they're drama shows. They're the ones that stay on 10 years and have over 200 and something episodes, or their own reruns, making their money every night on TBS or TNT or something. Drama sells. And why are you, I mean, you look at your local news. There's very rarely a good story on your local news anymore. It's usually, especially where I live, I get the Memphis news. There's never anything good they show.
You're right. We were what were we at? I think it was at the hotel, and there were no, like, generally we watch like we're watching a show. We're watching White Lotus now. I don't know if you've seen that. It's on Max. It's pretty good. But we were unable to watch any show. It wasn't a smart TV, so we turned on the news, and it's just like shooting after somebody was hospitalized, or there's a tornado that came through that took this family's house, and it's just one thing after the other, especially on the local news. But you're right, it's all about the drama. They
Yep.
don't report anything good that happened, and if they do, it's generally at the end of the show, and
Right.
it's like a last 2 minute special. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something funny. When I lived in the suburbs of Memphis years ago, and a new married couple moved across the street from us. Come to find out, they're from a very small town in West Virginia, and they had moved to Memphis for her husband's work. So I met them one day outside, and they were all, really country people, and they were asking about the area and, Memphis in general. And I said, do y'all watch the local news back where you're from? Yeah, every night, 10 o'clock. Okay. Don't watch the news in Memphis. Just don't do it. I said it'll depress you. It's going to scare you. About 2 days later, I seen them out in the driveway again, and they's like, "Yep, we're never turning that back on again." Said there was 6 murders in 2 days. I'm like, "Yep." I said they didn't tell you anything good had happened in the community. I said they just don't. That was, and probably 15 years ago almost now, and it's just steadily worse. It's like, there's nothing wrong with having a refreshing story about whatever, a kid, child, a success story, or somebody beating cancer. I mean, people need that. I mean, you need something to hold on to, because there's people going through those same things all the time. And if you see somebody that conquers cancer, or a homeless that gets a house, that gets a job, that is able to make ends meet. That gives people hope. But it's like there's no in hope, so why show it? And it's sad that it's turned that way, and you get people in these higher ranking places in the news, sectors and stuff. All they care about is the bottom line. They don't care about what news was, 50 years. They don't care about, hey, we need to inform the public. Like, nope, we're informing the public of what we need so we can get advertisers and get our name talked about across all the sectors so we can bring in as much advertising money as possible. And it's just sad because like you said, news back 20 years ago was a huge thing. You were at the TV at 9 or 10 o'clock, and yes, when you got your weather and you got to hear about anything and everything. There were still some bad stories on there, but nothing like it is now. And I just think that fuels the fire, especially in politics. But I also fuels the fire for everything else because I've noticed a trend in the teenage section of people now that they do stuff just to be famous. I'll give you an example. I think some of the school shooting stuff, yeah, I think they maybe a mentally issue and have got an issue with somebody in the school. But if they've just had an issue with somebody at school, you can shoot that person anytime you want.
Oh, they want their name on the news.
They want to be known and remembered, and that's part of news' fault. I got no problem remembering somebody's name that killed a president or something because that's in the history books. But you, we shouldn't have to even want to remember some 25-year-old that goes in and kills people in an elementary school. I mean, that don't make sense to me. Never will make sense to me. And they do it to be recognized, which is as sad, not as much as killing the people, but it's sad that that's the way they think because I think I could find a whole lot better of a way to be remembered than doing something that horrible.
Yeah, and I mean, that the prime example of that is the one now. What's his name? Maggione or
Like it.
what is his name? The one that killed Brian Thompson with United Healthcare, Luigi Mangione. So he is. They're talking about whether or not they're going to give him the death penalty. Like he's going to jail, right? So, but these people, mainly liberals, are calling in because they think Luigi Mangione is a hot killer. He is sexy. So they want him to survive. I guess they're going to give him some conjugal visits. So I mean, you have somebody that killed I think Brian Robert Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare. I think he had a wife, he had two kids, and they're not talking about him. They don't mention him.
Nope.
They talk about Luigi Mangione and how sexy he is, and all these women are writing him love letters and writing into, I guess, the court where he's being tried. They're writing in asking for them to tread lightly and not give him the death penalty.
I don't even know why we have a death penalty. They never use it. I
They
don't
never
get it.
use it.
I mean,
And I honestly think that if he's essentially a kid,
mm,
him having to stay in a 10 by 10 cell for the rest of his life, getting out an hour for exercise, I honestly think that is more punishment than giving him the death penalty and giving him essentially an easy way out.
right.
I think that's more suffering. So I really don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is these people saying that originally they were like, set him free, essentially, set him free because they think that he's hot.
Yeah, that's a great quality. That's a
Yeah.
great quality. If you put it on your Tinder account or something, I guess. Yeah.
We should develop that, a convicted felon Tinder account.
It'd probably scare you.
left or swipe right,
I
and you
promise
can schedule your
conjugal visit.
conjugal visits.
I promise you'd be scared how many people would probably sign up for it. I mean, really, it's crazy just how.
Does that conjugal visit, does that actually exist? Like, I mean, is that really something? I mean,
Oh no. Luckily, I've been in the back of a cop car a few times, but I've actually never went to jail. So
a conjugal visit is a scheduled prison visit that allows an inmate to spend a period of time with a private partner, often a spouse or family member, in an apartment-like facility on prison grounds, with the goal of promoting family connections and rehabilitation. So it's a family. I mean, I don't know that that's not.
that's not how they portray it on television in the movies, anyway.
No, that's not.
Not at all.
Inmates on death row, those with convictions for sex offenses, and those with disciplinary restrictions are typically not eligible for conjugal visits.
I will say one thing about our penal system. Usually, a sex offender, you don't have to worry about them. It's the convicts, gang members. They all have a code.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like if they find out you're a child molester or rape kids or any of that kind of stuff, they usually don't make it too long in the jails. So I will give a shout out to all those guys because they don't play around with that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It's like there if you did something like you did something with trafficking, human trafficking, if you messed around with little girls, if you killed a mom of three kids, they're going to take care of you in prison. They're going to
Yep.
you're going to wish you had some KY jelly.
Yep. Yeah, they do. They take care of that, which is good to know that, even bad people have a code of, hey, that's going over the line,
Mhm.
and they get justice that way, because that's a big problem, I think, with the government in general, and it's tough, with court cases, and because you got so many people involved, right? I mean, you got the people that's involved in the crime. Then you got the police departments that are involved. You got the investigators that get involved. Then you get lawyers that are, most of them are smarter than anybody. There's so many technicalities that have to go correct that you can use any of them to get, off the charge, and it's a no-win situation for either side that's doing it. Yeah, you got criminal defense lawyers that are doing their job, and they know the people are guilty, but they're still going by this honor code that they have, and find some technical reason why they're not able to convict them, and
Mhm.
it messes the whole system up, and people having belief in the judicial system, and because I'll be honest with you, I had my first cousin got murdered in a little town I was at. It was partly she was not doing the right things. To give you kind of the backstory on it, she was maybe 21, 22 or something. She was out with a bunch of friends. She might not even been that old. Uh, this guy had his CD player in his truck with the remote. That was a big thing back in the, I guess, late 90s. I had one too. Well, I guess she didn't like his music or whatever, so she took it from him. And I don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't at the party. It ended up being in a chase, right? So he chases her down. They're all, drinking. He gets her off the side of the road at a church in the middle of our town. Now, a town of maybe 400. Puts her on her knees and executes her.
Oh my God. Wow.
They take off the guy, and I'll go ahead and kind of give you a backstory. I do not know what this guy looks like. I told people I never want to see what the guy looks like. I've got a temper. I don't know what I would do. I'm pretty sure I know what I do. So I never want to know what the guy looked like. I just didn't. And this happened, man, 25, 20 something years ago. And we and her were close. So he leaves with his buddy, right? They run the back roads, and they throw the gun. For some reason, they throw the gun away in a cemetery. like the easiest place in the world to find a gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, the the guy was ex-military or was just getting out of the military, a marksman on top of that. Well, of course, they knew who was all involved because there was witnesses. Well, they couldn't find the shooter, but they found the guy right in the car. Well, it didn't take long to flip him because he saved himself, which I don't blame him. And he told him right where they threw the gun, had all this evidence, right? He goes to jail in our county jail. About 30 or 40 days later, they start the process, for the trial. I'm over here harping, why are we doing a trial? He should be in front of a military court because they ain't gonna play. There ain't no ifs or buts. You're gonna get your ass in major trouble when you're in front of the tribunal court or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
He saw your will to deal and got him discharged with no issues. So it was just a civil trial. Of course, now I'm talking about a town of 300, county maybe 3 or 4,000. The county cops were involved. There was some type of paperwork / error that got him off. Okay. He spent 39 days, 42 days, something like that, in jail for murder. And he walked away. And now, of course, her husband and their son sued him, and he ended up having to pay like a couple $1,000,000, I think, in damages. But it's like, why can you do that? And it be I mean, I understand there was a technical issue. I mean, we got people that never even seen a murder working the case because it's a small community. They don't. It's not Shelby County, Memphis, Tennessee, that there's one every 2 hours. It's all about repetition of learning what to do, what not to do, and that's always left a bad taste in my mouth. I won't. They can call me all day long, and I'm gonna use that excuse because I'm not gonna waste my time at one because I've got major issues with it, with the whole system because of technicalities, and I don't blame a lawyer for using it if it's there. I mean, I want, I guess, to use it on me if I was in it, but it's just those little things, and you get people on the wrong side of that stuff, and it's just bad, and there's no way to fix any of it, of course, because it's like a lot of things within our government. We've let stuff happen for so and so long, and I use this all the time with welfare. You can't fix it. Welfare is unfixable because if you try to fix it the right way, like Trump's doing stuff, you would complete new civil war, and it's not worth because really you'd have to scrap it and start over,
You
and
would.
people would have to requalify and be more strict because there's a lot of freebie stuff getting out there, and it's because back to what we started the conversation with. It's about people putting money in their pocket. It has nothing to do with your constituents or your fellow Americans doing the right thing for your county, your representative area, your state. It's about, okay, well, I can help this guy out because he's going to get me this. Well, if I get this done, I can put a little money in my pocket from whoever. And that's why I wished everything was a little bit on more terms. You shouldn't be able to be a life politician. I mean, I got no problem if you start like a local guy and you move your way up to senator, but you should only be able to do it for so many years in each spot. And if you're not good enough to move to the upper level, then you're done because you're not going to be a perfect person for 40 or 50 years. I mean, you look at these people like that one guy, I think it was out of South Carolina, he's like 90 something years old. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, if you have the ability to stay in a government position, take advantage of, you know, of that position where you're able to get more funding, where you're able to increase your income, where you're able to do better for your family, where you're able to create serious wealth, no matter what the corruption is, you're in there long enough, you're going to run into it where,
Yeah,
you're going to get updates on, you know, potential stock trades or stock prices, and you're gonna get that kind of intel. And what's happening is when these people getting it, they're calling their buddy and they're saying, hey, make this trade for me, and
Yep.
and they're racking in the cash. And it's
And
it
greed is one of our worst enemies.
yeah.
Greed is
Greed will be your demise. Greed will be your demise if you you know can't stay. And that's what's happening. That's why these politicians are freaking out right now, because
yep.
they've found an income stream and it's getting cut off, and they don't know how to handle it.
You're exactly right. You know what I don't understand, and I mean, trust me, I'm not a greedy person. I always want to do more than what I'm doing money wise. I mean, I'm that as an entrepreneur. I'm always trying to do more, but
Of
I'm not
course, as
greedy.
well.
But what I don't understand is, and I know it costs a lot to live in certain areas, and I'm blessed it doesn't cost a lot where I'm at. So I live comfortably enough because of where I live. But if you've been there for many years and you've made a lot of money, and now you're fighting this, because to me, if you're a Democrat, you're fighting an identity problem. Why not just walk off into the sunset and just like, hey, I'm done. I've got money. I got it put back. I don't.
And I think there are some that have done that. I think there are, and but the dumb ones are sticking around, and they're screaming and throwing temper tantrums in the streets. Literally, I mean, like, look at Schumer throwing a temper tantrum in the street, and yelling at the TV screens, saying this is unjust, and he feels it's not affecting those people that are in the streets. And some of it may be because they're cutting some government jobs that are waste. They're waste. They're not needed. We're even the Department of Education, they're cutting that because it should. What is the purpose? The purpose of in our education system, it ranks among the worst.
39 out of 40 countries, last I seen.
39 out of 40 countries, it ranks among the worst. And we're worried about it needs to go to the states. It needs to be the states need to handle it. The government needs to get smaller and less corrupt. And and we need to set term limits. We need to do all this stuff to cut out and we're going to end up better for it. And that's like these we've been taken advantage of for so long as a country. And and we can get into this next time, about the tariffs. But you know i'm I'm nervous about the tariffs a little bit. I am. But we have to do something. We are not on an even playing field. And we're getting taxed to death by other countries in every industry,
Yep.
especially the auto industry. And we've got to get on an even playing field, and we've got to start showing countries that we're serious. Countries owe us a ton of money that they haven't paid back in years, and they know that they can take advantage of us. They know that we're not going to come after them. They know that they can
Yep.
keep asking for more and more money and more military. When does it end? Where does it end? People say that, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it kind of does, because if in order to get, let's just say, you know France is charging us. I mean, let's just say Italy. Italy is charging us, um, you know, 35% on Italian-made cars, or Germany. I like German cars. Germany's charging us 35% on German-made cars, and we're not charging them anything. What do you think the best way is to get that percentage that they're charging us lowered? It's
Yeah.
to go in and say, look, we're going to play ball here. We're going to charge you. And we're going to, and like Trump said, if you charge 35%, we're going to charge you 35%. If you charge us 10%, we're going to charge you 10%. So then he goes in and lowers the taxes, lowers the tariffs, because now these countries are willing to finally negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to hurt right now, but the system is so jacked up. We have to do something to fix it. We can't just stand by and say, "Oh, we don't want our prices to go up, so we're not gonna do anything." And we've got to go in and correct this. And sometimes you have no pain, no gain, right? I mean, you got to have some pain.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but you got to have balls to do it.
You do.
You got to sit there and take all the criticism while you're doing it. And with Trump being, and that's why I've always said our head person should be a business person. And I'm not saying that because I'm a business person. I'm just saying that because the country should be ran as a business. Nothing. I mean, it is. It's its own business. And just like I heard the other day, them Elon and him talking, we run it off of one checkbook, which is which makes absolutely no sense. I mean, all our money is basically in one checking account, and no one knows anything that goes on with it. But you have to stand up because it's the only way to get factories back here in America to have jobs, because that is a major issue with our economy is the type of jobs. There's not a lot of great jobs. And then you go back to even to the education part of it. When I was going to China, it was amazing how far technology wise they were back in the early 2000s compared to us, and where the
You want
kids.
to know one of those reasons why I'm reading this? China's trade deficit with the U.S. Guess how much? Guess how much? $295.4 billion. That's why they are ahead. That's
Mhm.
why they are ahead. They're getting the money and we're not. And you know what? They decide to turn off that faucet. We're sunk. We've
Yep.
also got to get manufacturing back to the United States. And
Yep.
it amazes me that all these, libtards don't see this,
Mm.
because usually they're the ones that are saying we shouldn't buy foreign, we should buy American. Or that's what they used to say. That's what
Right.
Democrats used to say. Blue collar
Yep.
Democrats, they were for that. I remember my aunt saying, I'll never buy a foreign car. I'm only buying American. So what are you upset about? What are you upset? This doesn't,
Yep.
on the auto side, it's not good. This doesn't impact you if you only buy American, if that's what it's true.
That's right.
So, I mean, why do you think Honda's coming here? Why do you think Apple's now investing $500 million in the United States?
Yeah, because it's all business, and I think that's a big issue with a lot of people. Plus, your Democrats, they don't look at any of it as business per se. They might look at their own business, how they can put money in their pocket, but it's all business moves, but leverage, and we don't have leverage. That's really the tariffs, in my opinion, are the only leverage that we have to use. And if we get it to where it's equal ground, then that's good. If we get rid of certain tariffs on both sides, that's good for us. But it's about making people think twice about not being in America to build the products to sell, because we are like China, and we're one of the few countries that are like this. And I've always said this about China when I was even there 20 years ago. China doesn't need anybody. If China could ever truly develop a middle class, they can sell to their middle class and don't need them. I mean, they got a billion people over it. We are as a country. We're not the largest by no means, or even probably the second largest population wise, but we have enough money and infrastructure that if we had the right stuff here, manufacturing wise, we don't have to go outside to get very little of anything. And if
Mm-hmm.
that was the case, okay, then we might pay a high tariff on a certain product from a country that we can't produce. That's when you're penalized, but you're making it so good on everything else it kind of balances out. And there's no need for anything major that we need from anybody. So you have to play tough, because that's the only way to get people back here to build. Because I'm a business person just like you. If I can go 10 miles down the road and get it cheaper or build it cheaper, it's no different going across the country. Why, to a different country. That's what it's about. It's about the getting it for as cheap. But it doesn't do us good as a country to say do that because there's
Justin's recording. Oh, you on?
yeah, I got a phone call. My disturb came off.
I thought you were getting caught by these storms. Have you seen these storms?
Yes, we just had a big one come through a few minutes ago. We had a couple tornadoes within about an hour or two of us the other night.
Well, drivers be safe out there.
Yep.
Yep, there's a lot of storms. This says that Justin's recording has stopped. Drivers be safe out there. There's a lot of storms. The storms are stretching from Dallas up to Detroit, basically at an angle. Please be careful out there. Everything is red. Everything is highlighted red. So there's severe, severe storms. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of tornadoes. I know I was delayed. I was flying back from Cincinnati. There's a lot of tornadoes coming through that area. Just be careful, hunker down, take the National Weather Service advisement and drive safe. If you got to get off the road for a while to let things pass, it does look like it's passing through. It's actually pretty slow moving. I thought it was fast. My radar was going fast, but it's stretching across. It looks like it's going to go through until 4 a.m. in the morning. So just be careful out there, drive safe. I do want to say that this broadcast is brought to you by Ready App, onboarding made simple. Go on ready-app.com, ready, and sign up for a profile. We're going to have jobs on there. We're going to have a lot of benefits for drivers. There's health benefits. We're also talking with the DOT about making it easier so you don't have to go chase down paperwork if you were to get stopped by the DOT. You can set up your profile. You can have your commercial driver's license, your medical exam certificate, your performance evaluation certificate. If you got that, your record of duty status, you're going to be able to put that all in the app. Your vehicle inspection report, everything that DOT officer is going to require, or if you're applying for a job, everything that employer is going to require. It's there for you in the app for safekeeping, for safe storage. We don't keep your information. You can delete your account at any time, but it's going to make things really easy for you and going to allow you to apply for jobs in a simple fashion. And you're not going to, and then when you go to change that job or you find a new company, you don't have to go looking for that paperwork again. It's right there for you. So ready-app.com. Justin, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if you can see me or hear me, but I'm here.
Okay. All right. Well, we hit over an hour. I've got to get out of here. I got a hockey game tonight. Beginner league hockey. I'm not an advanced skater by any means, but my kids play hockey. And so I love the sport. I think it's the best sport to go and watch. And I think it's even more fun to play. It's great exercise. So I was actually in the championship game, I think 5 weeks ago, and hurt my ankle. We were doing 3-on-3, and I had a goalie fall on my ankle, and I just knew that it was not right. You know how you roll an ankle and you can tell like immediately. It's like, and then it starts swelling up, and so I limped off the ice, and I've gradually been getting back into like pickleball and stuff over the last couple of weeks. So I'm trying to get active. I need to get skinny like you, Justin. I need to lose some weight. I've lost 30 pounds, so I was close to about 300. I'm now about 260, 265, depending on the day. I need to get down to about 230. That's a good weight for me. So just got to stay active, lose weight. Pickleball is great for me. I enjoy the competition, and it's good. And they say that people that play racket sports live the longest. So
I can believe it. When I used to play tennis, I think I used more energy and more muscles in playing tennis back in the day.
well, if you play tennis, because I played tennis in high school as well, tennis and baseball, and I if you played tennis, you should be able to pick pickleball up real easy, and it's a lot more fun than you think. And I even prefer it over tennis, and I never thought I'd say that.
Really?
When I said I would never pick up a pickleball paddle. I said that's for, those old fogies out there.
Right.
People who can't move around the court have to play on a smaller court. But I love it. It's so much fun. And if you play with good players, it's quick, it's competitive. I played this morning actually. So we
Pickleball court here in my small town. They just got a grant for it. I read the other day. I was like, well, I got one.
It's got to be the most popular sport in the country.
It seems to be. I know. I watch some of it on TV. There's one or two young ladies that I've watched. It's phenomenal watching them.
You just like watching the young ladies. You hear it like hearing them like in tennis. You like hearing them grunt.
There you go.
You just close your eyes and dream.
Exactly. Us old single men have to come up with some reason to do it.
That's right. That's right. Just get in the recliner, close your eyes, and put some tennis on.
Exactly.
All right. We like I said, we did want to talk a little bit more about some trucking things. Justin's got some interesting driver stories that he wants to share.
Yeah, I got it.
So we'll do that. We're gonna try. What's tomorrow? Thursday. So we'll probably. I think we may be on tomorrow. Definitely on Friday. We'll definitely do one more show this week. I'd like to get in a routine of doing 3 shows. I think that's a good number.
And we're eventually going to go live, correct? Didn't you say?
We are going to go live. Yeah, I'm searching that now. Definitely, I'm looking at Facebook Live, YouTube Live. I'm looking at different options, and then I want to see how we can get in a regular spot, like a 5 o'clock. That seems to be 5 or 6 o'clock spot. That seems to be a good time for us on like iHeart Radio. They do lot, of course, but I think we've got to get in touch with the station. So maybe if we get in touch with a Memphis or a Tampa station, they can put us on. And we've got a portfolio now of our work. So,
well, I'm trying to get my new setup going. Hopefully, the next couple weeks, so I have a new setup. I can get off this phone because I've had 4 calls while we've been on this podcast. So I've got to upgrade my setup so we can.
You got to put that do not disturb on.
Well, I did, but I did it. And we've already went past. I guess I'm going to start doing past an hour. I guess.
Oh, you do? I didn't even know you could set it up for a limit.
Yeah,
a time limit.
Yeah,
okay.
Hour, and there was like 2 other choices, and
yeah, you need to do like an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, once we get in these comfortable chairs and get the big microphone that comes down like on these professional shows. Yeah, once we get set up like that, we're just gonna sit there all day and talk.
I'm gonna get something a little stronger than a water and just sit back and we can talk all day long.
Yeah, I may have to pour myself a glass of bourbon behind me.
Man, I think that's all you guys drink in Kentucky. I think I was the only person there. It was the funniest.
I'll tell you, I had, and I got to get off here, but I had the best bourbon drink I've ever had in my life. At the Omni in Louisville. It was at their speakeasy, and it was banana liqueur, walnut bitters, and vanilla with bourbon, and it's banana nut bread in a glass. And I must have had 5 of them, and way too many. I was overserved and could not. I mean, I stumbled back to my room. I usually do not do that. It's usually one and done for me, but those things went down like candy. And and I was having a good time at the show. That was before Kentucky lost, so I thought that I was going to plan myself a great weekend.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, good deal. Well, go enjoy your hockey and don't get too sore.
I'll try not to injure myself again. But everybody have a good night. Drive safe out there. Definitely the weather. If you're driving across the Midwest,
yeah, be safe.
Please be safe. Please be careful with the weather out there, and we will talk to you. Talk to you.
Sounds good. Everybody be safe. Have a good night.
Have a good night.